Yeah. So now today we'll our discussion of the capacitance CV Cara. Okay. So just the review that I just want to make first. So in the last class, we spoke about one of the capacitance, which is known as the gate capacitance, right? So the gate capacitance can be split into two kind of components. One, we call it as intrinsic capacitance. And this intrinsic capacitance is nothing but the gate capacitance itself. It can be decomposed into three components. One is CGB, CGS, and CGD. Okay. Now we analyze this intrinsic capacitance with respect to VGS, and we just saw how each of these capacitance takes up a particular value. Okay. And these two capacitance, specifically the CGS as well as CGD, they were coming into picture only for VGS that is greater than VDH. Okay. But this capacitance was taking up all the values for VGS, which is within the range. Okay. Like in terms of negative infinity. Okay. So throughout this entire region, we had the CGB getting into account. Okay. But once we crossed the value of VT, we had the CGS and CGD getting into picture, but CGB was completely turned off. So that was the discussion, and we discussed assuming that our VDS was held at a constant value, which we normally took it as VDS that is equal to 0. Later, we also analyzed the same CG with respect to VDS. Okay. So when we discussed this, we just try to plot it against some sort of VDS by VDS SAT. Okay. We normalized this particular x-axis, and then we found that the capacitance which was in existence. Okay. So in this case, we had assumed that the value of VGS was considered something like this. Okay. So the VGS was held above the value of VDH, and we had drawn this particular graph. And in this graph, we found that the value of CGS was actually equal to C0 by 2, and CGD was equal to C0 by 2. And this is the case when we had VDS that is equal to 0, okay, or this particular axis that is equal to 0. And this one was changed to 2/3 of this value of C0, and this one shifts to a value of 0 when the value of VDS is exactly equal to VDS SAT. Okay. Now there was one question. I think one of the students had asked about this 2/3. How does this particular value turns up? Okay. This is based on the tapering effect. One could actually try to work out to get this particular answer 2/3. Okay. And in case if you want, I can share you a particular material which is almost like 46-page length. Okay. So which is a quite complicated derivation, which is not really required for us to learn about it. It's more related to the physics about the charges and stuffs. Okay. So we'll not go much in depth in this particular discussion. 2/3. Yeah. Yeah. So this was the discussion, and according to the gate capacitance, we had discussed about this one type of capacitance, this is intrinsic capacitance, and these are the discussions that we have made. And there is a second type of gate capacitance, which I was trying to explain at the very end of the class, which is nothing but the overlap capacitance. Okay. Now, I think I showed something like what does it exactly mean by this overlap. Okay. So I'll just try to demonstrate that. So in the case of an overlap capacitance, what is happening is that we had this metal oxide that has some sort of overlap through those diffusion layers of source and the drain. Okay. So if this is my P-type, and obviously these are sources and the drains. Okay. And you could see that there is a kind of portion where they get overlapped. Okay. Now they actually gets an overlap not only across the source, it also overlaps across the drain as well. Okay. So due to which we have two types of capacitance. Okay. And we call this as a overlap capacitance. So CGS overlap. Okay. And this is CGD overlap. Okay. Now let us try to evaluate this overlap capacitance. So CGS, I'll take only one because both these quantities are same, and this capacitance is basically derived from a specific formula which is known as CGS-OL. Okay. This is something like a capacitance in terms of farad per meter. Okay. Now generally the width of this overlap is more specific to the foundry at which we are working. Okay. So we don't have any control. Clear? So generally the manufacturer gives the value of the CGS-OL, and that value is specifically has a unit of farad per meter. Okay. Now, what we have as a kind of control is only the width of it. Okay, so if this capacitance has a particular width, because we define the width of any transistor, and due to which it can take up any type of width that has been designed for this particular transistor, right? So due to which the width has to be multiplied, and the total overlap capacitance between the gate and the source is given as a product of CGS OL, which is defined by the manufacturer. And this width, which was in our control, because every transistor will not have the same width, we will be modifying the widths of the transistors. So due to which any width that I've chosen has to be multiplied in order to get the total overlap capacitance. Clear? Now, this same argument applies even for the overlap capacitance between the gate and the drain. Okay, and the same formula appears even over there. So if you want, I can just write it as CGD overlap is returned as something like CGD OL, okay, who has a unit of farad per meter, and it has been multiplied by the width in order to get the overlap capacitance. Okay, now in general, this overlap capacitance is bias independent. Okay, this is something that I specified. So this is bias independent. Now, what does it mean by bias independent capacitance? Because whatever the gate or whatever the source potential that I have, these capacitance will not get modified. Okay, but when I see here the intrinsic capacitance, this intrinsic capacitance is a bias dependent capacitance. Okay, and this bias dependent capacitance is what we discussed when we varied this VGS. What happens to these capacitances of CG? We could see that there is a kind of U-shaped curve that was happening. Okay, and even with respect to VDS, when we try to vary those gate capacitance or the intrinsic capacitance, we found that there is a kind of changes that is happening across these gate capacitance. Okay, so that's the reason why we call this as a bias dependent, whereas the overlap capacitance is a bias independent capacitance. Okay, now apart from this gate capacitance, there is also one more type of capacitance that we have to deal, and that capacitance is known as the parasitic capacitance or diffusion capacitance. Okay, now among these two, like the gate capacitance and the parasitic or diffusion capacitance, the gate capacitance is actually a kind of capacitance that is really what we look for it. Okay, because this capacitance is generally needed in order to create the channel, and the field effect transistor works on this particular principle. Okay, so I could say that this gate capacitance is a kind of friend of us. But when I look across the other capacitance, which I'm about to discuss, which is the diffusion, or it can also be called as a junction capacitance, is actually, it's an unwanted capacitance. Okay, it doesn't serve for any purpose. Clear? Whereas the gate capacitance serves in order to create a field effect. Okay, and we call that as a field effect transistor because of that particular reason. Okay, so the gate capacitance helps us create the channel, whereas the diffusion capacitance or the junction capacitance in general doesn't serve any kind of purpose, but it happens just because of the PN junction that gets formed whenever we have this two different material. Okay, so you could see that there is an N plus region surrounded by the P-type material for the source, also for the drain. Okay, so whenever we have this PN junction, what happens is that there is supposed to be some sort of depleted region around this particular junction, right? So let me just mark this, the depletion region around this particular zone. Now, again, we know that the drain or the source, and the body of the NMOS transistor is always connected to the ground or the least potential that I use in my system. Okay, so this is my body, or the P-type semiconductor is always connected to the lowest potential, but the source as well as the drain can take up any type of positive value. Okay, so when it takes some sort of positive value, what happens is that we are trying to reverse bias this PN junction. Clear? Okay, hope that I'm just conveying it right. Okay, so in case if you have any doubt, you can just ask me. Okay, so I'm applying a positive voltage to an N-type semiconductor. So what does it mean? Is that we are trying to make more reverse bias. Okay, so in general, the drain obviously would end up having some sort of more positive voltage, right? So whenever we vary the positive voltage of this drain, the depleted region around this particular PN junction actually widens up. Okay, the more the positive voltage that you apply across the drain, the more the depleted region that surrounds this PN junction. Okay, and we know that this depleted region is basically generally filled with immobile ions. So there is no channel charges, or there is no free carriers. Okay, so just filled with ions, and it also means that there is no free carriers. Whereas when I look here, the N plus region has a free carrier. And even this p-type semiconductor also has a free carrier. But these two carriers are opposite in nature, and they are being separated by some sort of dielectric medium, this depleted region. Okay, so what happens is that it creates a kind of capacitance for us, and we call that capacitance as a diffusion capacitance or the junction capacitance. Clear? So this junction capacitance, as I said, the depleted region actually varies with respect to the voltage that I'm applying across the source or across the drain. So due to which the diffusion capacitance or the junction capacitance in general is also a bias dependent capacitance. Okay, so it depends on the region of separation of these free carriers, right? The capacitance value. Clear? So due to which it becomes something like a bias dependent. Okay, now there are two types of capacitance, one across the source, the other one is across the drain. Okay, so those capacitance I'm just going to call it as CSB, okay, and the other one is CDB. So these are nothing but the diffusion capacitance or the junction capacitance. So in general, these capacitance can be broken into two components. Okay, and the reason why it can be broken down into two components is that maybe I have to bring the, yeah. So here is this picture. Okay, yeah. So clearly you could see this is something like a kind of cube. The source region is a kind of cube kind of thing, like in the sense like it has 6 phases. You could see that the top phase is not being covered by any PN junction. Okay, it's only the remaining 5 phases of the source as well as the drain regions are being surrounded by the substrate material. Okay, so now again, when I look at the bottom, that is towards the bottom of this P plus or N plus region. Okay, you could see that there is an area. Okay, how do I measure the area? It would be the width times the length of this diffusion. Clear? So now the capacitance has a bottom plate. Okay, so we call this as a kind of bottom plate. And apart from this, it also been surrounded by the side walls. Clear? So when I look from the top, you could see that there is a front face. Okay, and this is the side face. And again, when I turn back, I will look back into the back face. And then there is also one more phase. So probably I have to, yeah. So there is also one more phase towards the channel. Okay. So this is like a perimeter. Okay. So you have a perimeter of phases, and there are 4 phases around this perimeter of this particular rectangle. And they again create some sort of sandwich between the N plus and the P-type semiconductor. Clear? So again, so those all 4 phases will create what is known as a PN junction. Clear? Now, among this, in case if I have a channel here, okay, if there is a channel that exists between the source and the drain, then what happens is that one among this particular phase, among the 4 phases that I have along the perimeter of this rectangle, would be filled with N plus region again, because the channel is basically an N plus region. Okay, so due to which I would be losing one of the phase among this 4 sides of the or 4 phases of the perimeter. You people are clear, right? In case if you are not comfortable, you please let me know. Okay, so there are basically 2 types of capacitances, which I will write it here. Okay, one is the perimeter, okay, which has 4 phases. Okay, so the capacitance is created because of this, and along with it there is a bottom plate. Okay, so bottom plate has a 1 phase. Clear? So now in general, this capacitance can be written as something like the perimeter of the surface, okay, multiplied with the capacitance, which is CJSB, okay, and then, sorry, side wall, okay, CJSB side wall, SW stands for side wall, and then the area of the bottom plate that has been multiplied with a capacitance, which is CJSB, okay. So generally, the unit of the CJSB SW will be in terms of farad per meter, okay, because the perimeter in general is nothing but the 4 sides of your rectangle. Clear? Whereas the area, which is the bottom, in general would be in terms of farad per meter square. Okay, hope that you're clear with it. Okay, so now if I just go back over here, in case if I have created some sort of channel, okay, so even this channel that I have is again filled with N plus medium. Okay, so among this perimeter, what I have is the face of front face, the side face, and the back side face, which is the which is the face opposite to this face 1. Okay, so I will have only 3 faces, clear, along the side walls. Okay, so in general, the perimeter will have, if I take this as the length of the diffusion, I will mark it as LD. Sorry for the disturbance. Okay, so the perimeter would then be written as one of the length of the diffusion is LD. Okay, and then the side wall will have a width which is equal to the width of my transistor, and then again the back face, that is the third face, will have this LD as its length. Okay, and I will not encounter the face that is near to my channel. Okay, so this fourth side I will not encounter, just because if it is made of same material, then I'll have the same N+ region over here as well as across the channel. Okay, so due to which we will not include the one more width that is faced by the face that is closer to the channel, okay, or on the side of the channel. Clear? This is what we are calling it as the perimeter. Clear? Whereas when it comes to the area of this, the AS can be returned as just the width multiplied by the length of the diffusion. So that product of both these quantities will give us a unit which is in terms of meters square. Clear? And the perimeter is given as twice LD times that of the width. Okay, and this will have a unit of meter. So that when we multiply them appropriately, we end up having the diffusion capacitance in terms of farad. Clear? So it is not only across the source and the body that we have this diffusion capacitance, across the drain and the body also we have, right? So again, we can split this into the sidewall capacitance plus the bottom plate capacitance. And again, one could write it in terms of perimeter times that of the capacitance in terms of farad per meter, and the area of the bottom plate multiplied by the farad per meter square capacitance units. Clear? So now, without any proof, I'm just going to write these capacitances expression. Okay, since because it is basically a capacitance that is created because of the PN junction, we have the CJSB, which is nothing but the capacitance per meter square. Okay, can be written as Cj times that of 1 plus BSB divided by phi naught raised to the power of mj. Okay, values of these quantities depends on the manufacturing process. Okay, and in general, the quantity mj typically has a value within the range of 0.5 to 0.33. Okay, and this phi naught that I have here is nothing but the built-in potential of your PN junction. Okay. And similarly, CJBSW can be written as CJSW. Okay, and that would be given as something like same formula except for mj that has been replaced with mjsw. Clear? Yeah. So again, the units of these will be in terms of farad per meter square, and this will have a unit of farad per meter. Okay. So these are just the formulas and nothing to discuss. So one thing that you need to remember is this set of formulas for the diffusion or the junction capacitance, and how to arrive to the appropriate capacitance value based on this expression. Okay, based on this particular expression, you can arrive to the total diffusion capacitance across the source and even across the drain. Clear? And these capacitances are generally a bias dependent. Clear? So these are the 3 important points that you need to remember. Okay, so with this, we will just complete the discussion of what is known as CV characteristics. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt. So is the expression same for CDB?
Yeah. It's the same thing. So you end up having,
because when there is tapering, should we consider 4 phases?
So in this case, the tapering happens only across the 4th side. Okay, so we are not considering any 4th side in this perimeter. Okay, so what it really means is that you're talking about this tapering, right? This particular tapering, and due to which there will be some sort of impact that will happen. Okay, but it can be approximated. You can approximate by leaving out this 4th phase. This 4th phase you can just leave out, and we are considering only the 3 phases of our boundary. Okay, so in that case, both these formulas will remain the same.
Sir, but should we consider the fourth side?
Of course, we have to consider, but just for our computation purpose, we can just leave out. Okay, so we'll not go much in depth, like under different conditions. Okay, so these are the formulas that you can use it whenever you have VDS that is equal to 0. Okay, so under this condition, we have derived it. Generally, the CDB expression would get modified. Specifically, the perimeter expression would get modified when we consider VDS that is greater than 0. Okay, but we will not focus more on that. Okay, so we just want to know that there is a kind of diffusion capacitance around the PN junction. That's it. Okay, and with these formulas, we can get to that. And if we go much more in depth, and obviously this is not the appropriate class to discuss all those things. Okay, so that's the reason why I'm not discussing any of these formulas here. Just as a kind of de facto formula I've just presented. Okay, so we'll not debate much about this.